Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the DES Small Agency Financial Services Travel Training. My name is Riley, and with me I have Kaylor, Bryn, Kyler, and Forrest. Our ASL interpreter for today's meeting is Amanda Wykes. So just some housekeeping before we begin. This is a notification of the consent to record. The law requires consent prior to recording a person's participation in an event. Your participation in this video conference equals consent to be recorded as required by law. If you do not consent to be recorded but choose to participate, please turn your camera off and use the chat feature to interact with the speakers. We ask that you please hold questions until the end. For a seamless recording and presentation delivery experience, we are requesting agencies to hold their questions until the end, where we have allotted time for a dedicated question and answer session. Please ensure your microphone is muted throughout the presentation to prevent any abrupt interruptions that may be captured during the recording. All right, so to quickly go over today's agenda, we're going to do some travel volume stats. We're going to go over the SAM travel policy review. We're going to do a live TEMS demonstration. We're going to talk about meals with meetings and light refreshments, as well as telework and travel. And then we're going to end with a question and answer session. So to dive into some travel statistics,
Riley,
so
sorry to
yeah.
interrupt. Sorry to interrupt. I'm not seeing the interpreter on yet.
I do see her on there.
Yeah, you see her? Okay.
I'm not sure if you want me to hit spotlight for everyone or it can just be pinned per person.
Probably spotlight for everyone. Thank you. And sorry to interrupt again. Riley, can you put the presentation in presentation mode, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, so just talk about some travel trends. In fiscal year 23, we had 1,304 travel requests. In fiscal year 24, that number jumped up to 1,739. And then in fiscal year 25, that number was 1,729. So we have seen a significant increase in travel requests. Next, we're going to go over some travel policy and review. So some general information. SAM Chapter 10 contains all statewide travel rules. OFM develops and maintains these rules. Agencies, travelers, and approvers have responsibility for complying with these rules. SAF's accounts payable is responsible for processing travel reimbursement, payments, maintaining accounting records, and spot checking compliance with SAM rules. Compliance with Chapter 10 travel is highly audited. Next, we're going to talk about some lodging reimbursements. So according to SAM, lodging receipts are required for reimbursement. If adequate lodging rates are not available and the listed exceptions are met, agency can approve prior to travel rates that exceed the maximum per diem. Lodging per diem rates cover the basic room cost, resort amenity fees, cleaning fees, and service fees. Lodging taxes are reimbursable beyond the maximum per diem. And the last, lodging must be more than 50 miles away from the closer of either the official residence or the official station. And then I'm going to hand it over to Kyler.
Thank you, Riley. My name is Kyler Oblad. I've been on the team for about a year and 3 months. And yeah, we're going to go over lodging reservations. And we have the NASBO value point, the link you'll see right there. You can go there to get registered. The NASBO Value Point Travel Center is for public agencies to meet their travel needs and is designed to be a one-stop travel shopping site. Participating properties offer at or below GSA per diem rates and will not charge certain fees like resort fees, booking fee, timely cancellation fees, and other fees. You can register your work email address to receive a login ID in the online booking tool. We can go to the next slide now. Thank you, Riley. Okay, next we got meal reimbursements. Meal per diem rates cover the basic meal costs, tax, tips, and incidentals like delivery fees. Travelers are eligible for meal reimbursement if they are in travel status for the entire agency-defined meal period and when travel includes an overnight stay or when travel lasts for 11 or more hours on non-overnight assignments. And on the right here, we have a little picture. It's an example of a day trip, so non-overnight. And the employee travels from 6:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., which is exactly 11 hours. So right there, we know they are eligible for meal reimbursement on that day. They started at 6:30. Well, on the left, that's what will be the meal periods. On the left, we have the agency meal periods. So breakfast is 7 to 8, lunch is 12 to 1 p.m., and dinner is 5 to 6 p.m. Okay. Since they started at 6:30, they work through the entire breakfast meal period. They're eligible for breakfast. They work through the entire lunch period as well. So they're still on travel status, but they ended at 5:30 p.m., which makes them ineligible for dinner because they did not work through the entire agency meal period for dinner, which was 5 to 6 p.m. If they had worked a half hour longer and been in travel status, they'd be eligible for dinner as well. Okay, meal reimbursements for board members. Okay, so board members, there's an exception to the 11-hour rule. Volunteers, board members, and commissioners may be reimbursed for meals if they're in travel status for at least 5 hours on non-overnight assignments. Agency meal periods still apply. If meals with meetings are provided, no meal reimbursement. And I'll note this rule does not apply to boards and commissions following the daily or hourly rate, which is a different reimbursement method. And there's another picture that goes over the same thing we just went. The commissioner traveled from 7:30 to 2 p.m., which is over 5 hours. So we know they're eligible for meal reimbursement that day. The agency meal periods, breakfast 7 to 8 a.m., lunch 12 to 1 p.m., and dinner 5 to 6 p.m. They started travel at 7:30. So we know right away they're not eligible for breakfast because they weren't in travel status throughout the entire breakfast meal period of 7 to 8 a.m. They worked throughout the entire lunch period of 12 to 1, so they're eligible for lunch. They can be reimbursed for lunch, but they did not make it for the dinner meal period of 5 to 6 p.m., so they wouldn't get reimbursed for dinner. And with that, I'll be passing it over to my next team member, which I believe is Kaylor.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Kaylor Pearson. With you guys, I'm going to start by going over the reimbursement rates per SAM 1090-20. So these rates are as of October 1st of 2025, and here we list a map of the state and the different per diem rates per county. And then you'll also note on here, this is only for the state of Washington. So if you're looking for the out-of-state per diem rates, we do have a link provided as well. You can go to the GSA rate finder, and it will walk you through, entering your state and things like that. So you can see the counties in yellow, they have a total of $68 for their meal rates, breaking it out with breakfast being $17, lunch is $20, dinner as $31, and then that chart will go down. So anything in pink is a total of $80, anything in blue is a total of $86, and then anything in red is a total of $92. We also have a chart on here showing the maximum lodging rate, including a little note about seasonal lodging rate for counties as well. So you can see by county, it goes over the dates for the rates and the rates provided as well. And then the last little blurb on there is about the mileage rate. So this is for privately owned vehicle mileage reimbursement, and that current rate effective as of January 1st, 2025 is 70 cents per mile. And then if you are traveling internationally, we do also have a link on the bottom there for international travel if that's needed. The next slide we're going to go over is for mileage reimbursements. So mileage in a privately owned vehicle can be reimbursed at the rate specified, which, as I mentioned, is 70 cents per mile as of 2025. And then if the governor approves the rate change, this generally is effective January 1st of that year. And then daily commute between official residence and official station is not reimbursable. All other miles driven on official state business are reimbursable. So in this chart to the right, you can see that from official residence to official workstation is not reimbursable, but going from your official residence to a temporary duty station is reimbursable and so forth. So just no work from workstation to residence is reimbursable as it's considered a daily commute. And then next, we're going to define the residence and workstation. I do want to acknowledge that this is still at agency discretion, and different agencies will handle this differently based on circumstances of remote workers and telework agreements. So your official residence is the location of your primary residence. Your official duty station is agency-assigned state facility worksite, field assignment, city, state, or home-based city and state. Your official work site is a city, town, unincorporated area where the majority of employees' time is spent. The agency determines work site by considering the nature of the position. And then the official workstation for travel reimbursement is determined by the agency, and they will choose your official duty station or your official work site for you. And then if you're looking for full definitions of those, we have a link to the SAM glossary as well. Then last we're going to go over with myself is the miscellaneous travel rules. This is per SAM 106010. So reimbursable expenses at the moment are parking and bridge tolls, transportation services like taxis, shuttles, lifts, Ubers, ferries, and etc. Event and registration fees, checked baggage fees, mandatory lodging fees for internet access. And then your non-reimbursable expenses are valet services, entertainment expenses, seat upgrades, first class airfare. And then these are not reimbursable because they are considered personal preference and cannot be reimbursed. And then next, I'm going to pass it to my coworker, Bryn.
Right. Apologies in advance for any connection issues. My power is out and I'm connected to the hotspot on my phone. So hopefully y'all can hear me okay. But now we'll go over the receipt requirements based on SAM sections 1080-40 and 1060. This chart outlines which travel-related expenses require receipts and under what circumstances. For some expense categories, like hotel stays and laundry or dry cleaning, receipts are required for any amount. Other expenses, such as rental car gas, conference registration fees, meeting room rentals, fax services, internet access fees, checked bags, and overnight parking only require receipts if the cost is over $50. Whenever possible, expenses that exceed $50 should be billed directly to the agency or paid by the agency itself rather than out of pocket. Receipts should be sent to travel.safs@des.wa.gov. And when emailing your receipts, please be sure to include your reimbursement request ID or trip ID in the subject line. This helps us ensure your claim is processed efficiently. And final note on this slide, please keep in mind that some agencies may have additional internal policies that go beyond what's shown here. This table is meant to give a general overview of the base requirements as outlined in SAM Chapter 10. Next slide, please. All right, next we'll discuss prior approval requirements under SAM sections 1010 and 1030. So first, out-of-state travel requires prior approval unless it's to a neighboring county that's right across the Washington state border. So for example, short trips to Portland or Coeur d'Alene wouldn't need special approval, but anything beyond that would. Next, lodging less than 50 miles from the closer of either the traveler's residence or their official station also requires prior approval and is only allowed under certain conditions. There are 3 exceptions where approval may be granted. When we want to avoid a traveler having to drive back and forth late at night or early in the morning for back-to-back meetings, when there are health or safety concerns for the traveler, and when an agency can show that staying overnight is actually more economical for the state than daily commuting. Next slide, please. Okay, and now let's look at lodging over per diem, which also requires prior approval under SAM 1030-20. If lodging costs up to 150% of the standard per diem rate, you need to meet at least one of the 6 exceptions listed in Section A. And these are as follows. The traveler must stay in the same facility as an elected official. There's a temporary cost increase due to special events or disasters. Staying somewhere cheaper would actually increase total costs, for instance, because of added transportation expenses. There is an expected business interaction, and maximum benefit would occur by staying in a particular location. To comply with ADA provisions or the health and safety of a traveler is at risk, or if it's more economical to book a suite rather than pay for both a meeting room and a lodging room separately. However, if the lodging exceeds 150% of the per diem rate, the requirements are stricter. In that case, all 3 exceptions in Section B must be met. These are as follows. There's an expected business interaction, maximum benefit to the state will be achieved, and the rate is the lowest available advertised rate. Next slide, please. Right. Next, let's discuss how to calculate the lodging per diem. So using Spokane County as an example, the lodging per diem is $126 and meals are $86. This gives us a total of $212 per day. To find the 150% threshold, we multiply $212 by 1.5, which equals $318. Here's how that applies. Lodging under $126 meets per diem automatically. Lodging over $126 but under $318 needs just one qualifying exception from Section A for approval. Anything over $318 exceeds 150% of the per diem and requires all 3 exceptions in Section B to be met for approval. Next slide, please. Thanks, Riley. And let's see. Now let's talk about air travel requirements and procedures under SAM sections 1050-40 through 1050-80. The state has a statewide master contract for air travel. This includes Alaska Air, EasyBiz, and approved travel agents under Master Contract 02219. These options should always be used when booking airfare for official state travel. When purchasing airfare, employees and commissioners must use the agency charge card. Personal funds should not be used unless the state charge card system is unavailable. If a traveler does have to use personal funds, the reimbursement may be limited to the contracted government rate, so it's important to follow the proper process. And finally, the agency cannot purchase or reimburse for certain expenses. This includes seat upgrades unless required for ADA accommodations and business or first class travel. And now I'll hand it back to Riley for our TIMS refresher.
Thanks, Braden. So this is a link to the TIMS system. If you're a new user and you need to request a TIMS account, you'll follow this link and then fill out all the information. The preparer's name and email, you only fill out the top section if someone will be preparing TIMS on your behalf. The supervisor and manager, this is the traveler's approver. And then approver and preparer, you only check yes in these fields if the traveler will be approving or preparing other travelers' requests. So some TIMS tips and tricks. Microsoft Edge and Google Chrome are currently the only browsers that fully support TIMS. When submitting a TIMS request, it's a 2-step process. You'll need to create a trip and then create a reimbursement and then attach that trip to the reimbursement. And then per diem rates, Washington rates will be auto-filled. Out of state will default to the lowest rate, so be sure to update. And then international rates can be manually entered if not available from the drop-down. Next, we're going to go over a TIMS live demo. So let me pull that up. So once logged into TIMS, you'll see this screen. You might not have all these tasks under here because I've a lot of permissions. So first things first, you're going to want to go to create new trip. Next, you'll want to enter the purpose of said trip. So in this case, say I traveled from the 3rd to the 4th, and then travel for like a meeting. Next, you're going to want to enter the start date of the trip. So in this example, let's do Monday the 3rd from 10 a.m. Oh, sorry, Monday the 3rd from 10 a.m. And then let's say trip ended on the 4th at 2 p.m. Next, I'm going to select the city that I was traveling from. So for this example, let's do Olympia. Then I'm going to select the location that I'm traveling to. So for this example, let's say I was traveling to Seattle. Then you're going to want to hit this mileage down here. If you're claiming mileage reimbursement. So the default gives you the default from Olympia to Seattle, which is 60 miles. And then if you wanted to add round trip, you'll hit the round trip button. And then the memo field, you can put any notes or comments, and then you'll click OK. Then it will show me that the amount that I'm getting for mileage, which in this case is $84. Then I will hit save and continue. All right, now you can see that the mileage has been added here. If you need to add other destinations, you can hit this add destination button and then do the same process to add more mileage. Next, we're going to do per diem. So I'm going to hit this add per diem button. And I'm going to select which day of travel. So let's do 11/3 first and hit claim per diem. So in this case, I left at 10, which according to the meal reimbursements, I wouldn't be eligible for breakfast, but I would be eligible for lunch and dinner because this is an overnight trip. If it is a non-overnight trip, but over 11 hours, you would be eligible for per diem. And then you would need to mark the subject to tax because it is taxable. But in this case, it's overnight, so I don't need to worry about that. Next, I will be, let's say for this example that I was staying overnight. So let's say I'm claiming lodging. And then let's say the lodging was the Seattle rate, so $248. Then I would need to input the lodging tax. So let's say in this example, lodging tax was $25. Then I have my total. Again, you can add little comments in these memo fields if necessary. Then I'm going to hit save. Now that I can see that the per diem was added, if I need to edit it at all, I can hit this little pencil icon. And if I need to delete it, I can just hit the X icon. Next, we're going to add some miscellaneous expenses. So I hit add expense. Let's say I needed to be reimbursed for parking. So the paid for, you can enter parking. And then paid to whoever, whatever entity you're paying. So if for this example, say I parked at SeaTac. So let's do SeaTac parking. And then let's enter the amount. Let's say parking was $20. And again, I can add any memo or notes if needed. And then I hit save. Then if everything looks good, I can hit save and close, which will bring me to this screen. I can see all of my current trips pending. If you need to add multiple trips, you can just hit the create a new trip button and you can add multiple. So that was creating a trip. Now we need to attach it to a reimbursement. So we'll go over to this reimbursements tab. And then we'll click create a new reimbursement. So again, the description is kind of like the purpose for the trip. So I did the trip in November, so let's just do November travel. And then we will hit save and continue. And then this little section will appear where I'll hit add trip. And I'll select the trip that I just created and hit attach. This will attach the trip to the reimbursement. If everything looks good, then I can hit this send button down here. This will automatically default to your approver or whoever you have set up when creating your TEMS profile. Or if you need to send to somebody else, you can find them in the drop-down menu here. And then once you select your approver, you'll basically, you can just hit OK. One thing to note, if your agency provides us coding, this comment section down here is a great place to put that for our team. And then you'll just hit OK. This will send it to your approver for approval. And then let me move back to the spreadsheet for the PowerPoint. And current slide. All right. So if you're an approver in TEMS, you'll have this review tab, which will contain all your reimbursement requests submitted for approval. What you can and should do when reviewing the travel reimbursement is you can check for accuracy of the travel details, ensure the travel meets SAM rules. You can modify anything in the trip. You can reroute the trip back to the requester. You can approve or deny the trip. And then you can, like I mentioned, you can add agency expense coding. If you have any trouble with TEMS, please reach out to our travel.safs@des.wa.gov email. And then next, we're going to go over some Meals with Meetings basics, and I'm going to pass it off to Forrest.
Good morning, everyone. Coffee and light refreshments. We're going to start with this one. Your internal agency policy and procedure is required first and foremost. Prior approval is required for each meeting. Refreshments can be served when the purpose of the meeting is to conduct state business or formal training is an integral part of the meeting. Receipts for actual costs are retained and submitted with payment. Meetings takes place away from the regular workplace. Board and commissions may provide coffee and light refreshments at official public meetings, including executive sessions. Meals with meetings, again, agency policy and procedure is required. Prior approval is required for each meeting. Recurring meetings can be given in a single approval. Meals can be served when the purpose of the meeting is conducted on state business or formal training, an integral part of the meeting. Receipts for the actual costs are retained and submitted with the payment. Meetings taking place away from the regular workplace, very similar to coffee and light refreshments. Meals are only to be served to state employees or state officials and must be within the per diem allowance, including taxes, tips, and delivery fees. Other considerations, documentation that is required, signed prior approval. Again, just heavily stating on that, signed prior approval. Purpose of the meeting, list of meeting attendings. Meals, coffees, or light refreshments are prohibited when agency anniversaries, individual employees' receptions, new hire, retiring, and elected, etc. Along with that, all staff meetings and general employees recognition is okay. Hosting activities, social rather than governmental businesses such as lobbying. And then I'm going to wrap it back up and send it back to Riley.
Thanks, Forrest. So let's go and get into telework for out-of-state and out-of-area employees. OFM guidance on this can be found at the link provided. You can create telework agreements. The telework agreement that the agency creates with the out-of-state teleworker will establish who covers the cost of travel after a review of SAM requirements and any other necessary details. Consider official residence and official worksite rules. Travel from residence to official workstation for travel reimbursement is considered non-reimbursable because it's considered a normal commute. Agencies should be consistent internally and develop policies that treat travelers alike in like situations. Next, we just have some quick contact information for our team. So if you have questions regarding travel policies or TEMS administration, you'll contact our travel inbox listed there. And then for anything regarding like meetings or meeting rules, you'll message our AP questions inbox. All right, that concludes our presentation. Was there any questions at this time?
I see a few questions in the chat. I can start going over those in order. Just FYI, we'll be sending out also the Q&A section, so you'll see the questions and the answer typed. Let's start with the first one. What if valet is the only parking option available to the traveler and thereof not a preference or a choice? So if this is the only option, as long as you have the appropriate receipts, you can get reimbursed if that's, again, the only option. And then next we have Jenna. Hi, Jenna. It's been a while. What if I am unable to access the new Atmos system to book the trip, Alaska Air, and cannot get the vendor to respond? Can I book directly with Alaska Air? So we've noticed our DES team has been experiencing issues with the new Atmos system with Alaska Air. So you're not the only one. So as long as you're using all of the other resources. So going into seeing what other state contracts are available. So maybe Delta or using travel agents if needed. And if all those options do not work, then yes, you can book directly with Alaska Air as long as you have the appropriate approvals and you're using the appropriate card to book the trip. So not personal cards.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. Next we have Deb. Do you happen to have TEMS instructions that include shortcut keys or folks who use screen readers and other assistive technologies and typically use shortcut keys as opposed to a mouse? I'm not sure that we have that resource, but we can look into OFM since they are the administrative for that TEMS program. We can look into that and contact you. Team, do you know of any instructions like that? I'm not aware of that.
I'm also not aware.
Yeah, I'm not aware of anything like that either.
Okay. And then we have Desiree. May you clarify the subject to payroll taxes for the per diem meals? The link it leads to is the page is not found. So first we can update that link. And two, would you, Desiree, do you mind on clarifying your questions? What specific information you're looking for?
Yes, in the TEMS demo that you guys were working on for per diem meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, some of the meals were subject to payroll taxes and some weren't, and I can catch if it was what made that like deciding factor.
Yeah. So the ones that are subject to payroll taxes are the ones that are not an overnight travel. So if you're traveling the 11 hours, but it's not overnight, then they are subject to taxes. If it is an overnight travel, they're not subject to taxes. Team, please correct me if I'm incorrect. It's been a while since I've done travel.
Yep,
Yes,
that's
that's
correct.
accurate.
Ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Is that your answer your question, Desiree?
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Hi, Anita. Is NASPO utilized for out-of-state travel? I am pretty sure, yes, you can use that, team.
Yeah, I
Can
believe
we
so.
confirm? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. And
Okay.
Anita, I can confirm and contact you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so meals with meetings, Alexis. The slide said something about only state employees. What about trainings attendees by state contracts? Please clarify. Usually it is only for state employees, officials, or anyone that works with the state. So contractors usually get the opportunity if they're billing the state to get reimbursed for meals. Alexis, can we maybe get together and talk about your specific example or situation and we can problem solve together?
Sure, I'll reach out to you.
Awesome, thank you. And then Sierra, just to clarify, hotels need to be booked with NASPO. They can be booked with NASPO. They can be booked directly with the hotel, but you need to be using your one card to do so, the appropriate card. Team, anything to add on that?
Nope, nothing to add. You covered it.
Do we have any other questions? Charlotte, yes. You can use NASPO and ask for government rate. Yeah. And when you're booking directly, you can ask for the government rate as well. Some lodging places might ask well, they will ask you to show your ID when you come in. But yes. NASPO is a travel management service system. Yeah, thank you, Gwen. It's been used for a while, maybe not by small agencies, but it's been used for a while. Any other questions? I have another question in the chat. Just something I noticed recently when booking rooms, the government per diem rate showed as 146. When the per diem was actually 126, it wasn't shown on the reservation page, but they added $20 travel fee. Was that on NASPO price? If booking directly with a hotel, yes, the tourism fee will be added. You gotta watch for those fees. Some of them are not reimbursable. And make sure that they have the correct government per diem rate as well, because those change often enough, and some of them are seasonal. So please make sure when you're booking directly with the hotel, use the map that was presented to make sure it's the right rate, and look for those hidden fees as well. Any other questions? It is by the agency, I believe, Alexis. So the question was, is using NASPO set up by our agency or individually? If you need more specific help about NASPO, please use the link that Gwen put out in the chat. I'll include it in the Q&A document. I have another question from Adam. When parking fees are part of the hotel cost, are we supposed to pay for the portion privately and seek reimbursement when the hotel is being paid for by the agency directly? The agency, if it is, if you're already booking the hotel and they're charging the fee ahead of time, then the agency can pay for it. If you're coming into the hotel after it was booked and it's additional parking fees, then and you have to pay for them yourself, then you can get reimbursed. Awkward silences are not my strong suit. I'll give it a few more seconds for any other questions. All right, team, do we have anything else to add?
I hope if there's no more questions, then we can call it, and I appreciate everybody's time today and for taking the time to join our travel workshop. And I hope everybody has a great rest of their day.